good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and every beautiful human being in between. Welcome to day 2 of Esme's adventures, journeys, wild at heart. I made a video earlier. I'm probably going to go ahead and post it anyway. Because, well, I was making the video. I was like 8 minutes in, and I got an interruption on my screen, said that my video was going to be paused so that I could take the incoming call, and that my video would resume after the call ended. And when the call ended, it lied to me. The video did not resume. It had stopped. And so, yeah, I would have to like use a video editing software to continue on, and I'm just not that good at that stuff. So I was like, no, we'll just make a new one. So right now it is 12:28 p.m. Been on the road for a few hours this morning, and last night was the first night spent actually sleeping in the roof nest, and I am excited to report that once I got things set up, which took a minimal amount of time, like literally 10, maybe 15 minutes, because it was raining, which made everything that much harder, and took longer. Once I get up in bed, I settled in, caught up on a few social media chats, and sent my Snapchats. Have to send my Snapchats because my youngest kiddo and I have an almost 800-day streak going, so it's kind of a big deal. I had to make sure I got that done. But once I got settled in, and I popped Bella up into the roof nest and covered up my parrot and covered up Casper, who was going to be spending the night downstairs, upstairs, that sounds so funny, in the car. I was concerned about how he would settle in and whether or not he would be quiet, because this is his first road trip, and where Bella is a seasoned traveler and has been cross country in the car several times and on shorter road trips, she just knows what tea is, and she settles right in, and it's not a problem. But I worried if Casper was going to, be alerted by every single sound and every single start of a motor. Nope, not at all. Once I covered him up, he did the same thing he does at home, snuggled up in his little bed in his crate, and I never heard a word out of him until I took the cover off his crate this morning. So that was awesome. Now I lost my train of thought because I'm in a process of passing half a dozen semis. Oh, and there's one right on my ass who's not happy at my 60-mile-an-hour speed, because now we're going downhill and they're all picking up speed. Give me just a second to duck in between these two trucks in the right-hand lane so I can pay more attention as this semi can get off my ass, because he's not happy with me at all. There we go. Anyway, and I was also concerned that Bella would be kind of sketched out by being put up in the rooftop tent, because it's like pretty high off the ground. I climbed 1 or 2 rungs of the ladder and popped her in there and turned on a little LED light so she could see. She nosed around for a little bit and then laid right down and was like, "You coming up, Mama?" It was so freaking cute. Locked the car up, and I've had a lot of questions from female friends who are like, "Oh my gosh, what about protection? You're out there all by yourself. How are you going to protect yourself on the road?" Well, to those who have those concerns, I just want to say that I got a lot of good advice from other people in the roof nest flock, especially other women who travel by themselves, and a general consensus was, to get a pew pew device, pew 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 pew. So that was kind of a no-brainer for me, because coming from Vermont, we are a constitutional open and concealed carry state, so I carry anyway. So I wasn't the least bit shocked or offended when someone suggested that, you know, carrying was a good idea. But traveling through states that do not have reciprocity with my state, the state of Vermont, you have to be very careful, because then you're just following federal interstate carry guidelines. And in most states that I'll be traveling through that do not have full reciprocity with Vermont, and reciprocity means that however the law applies to me as a law-abiding citizen who has the legal ability to carry, open or concealed, reciprocity means that in certain states across the country, they follow the same laws as they apply to me in my own state. So the way the reciprocity map looks is there are green states. Those have full, reciprocal laws with the state that you reside in. And then there's yellow states that have reciprocity, but with conditions. And all the conditions usually is that you're able to legally carry in your own state, but while you're traveling, your firearm has to be unloaded, not in a driving compartment of the car, and in its case, and with its ammunition separately. So that's where I'm at right now. Traveling through Pennsylvania and Ohio. They are not yellow states for me, they are red states. So that means I have to observe the federal carry laws and keep my, there's dead deer all over the side of the road. And they're like, not much left of them, so you know they got hit by a truck. Anyway, in those red states, the ammo is in one place, the gun is unloaded in its case in another place. And of course, New York is a red state for me, and that's where I spent the night last night, was in New York, just before the Pennsylvania border. So how does one protect themselves in that case? Well, I don't know how everyone else does them, but for me, that meant having my light right beside me so I could switch it on, and let anyone know I hear you and I'm awake. The second thing was to have my car keys literally right beside my head with my ignition key for my car, like not, in the clump of keys, but right out there, so that I could push the panic button, which of course would alert anyone for any ways around that somebody's car alarm just went off. That's going to scare most people off, because in the middle of the night, then they're like, oh my God, it's noisy, and everybody's going to be waking up and looking to find out what's going on. And then the third thing was, I have another self-defense device that does not have as many laws and stipulations as firearms do, and so that was right beside me as well. So I felt really secure, and I also felt secure because until I find state parks or BLM lands, Bureau of Land Management lands, where I can pull over and spend the night or up to 2 weeks absolutely free, I prefer truck stops and rest areas that have a large amount of semi-truck, overnight parking, because I feel safe. My own dad drove truck over the road, was an over-the-road trucker for about 45 years. It was the last job he had before he passed, and so in general, I find the men and women in the trucking community helpful and watchful. I've had really good experiences, especially in bona fide truck stops, because I usually try to snug up as close to the big rigs as I can. And I've had I've had truckers, you know, when they see that I'm up and moving about in the morning, say, hey, I pulled in, you know, just before you last night, and I had to get up a couple times during the night. I checked on you, make sure everything was okay. I've even had one trucker surprise me with a cup of coffee. Yeah, I woke up before you did. I was going inside to get coffee for myself. Here's a coffee for you. I don't know how you take it, but here's all the stuff to go with it. So I always feel pretty safe in a truck stop. And last night I drove longer than I wanted to, or probably than I should have, because I was really tired by the time I pulled over and not in the mood for setup at all. But, you know, I kept looking for an optimal place to stop, and all of the service areas or rest areas on the New York Thruway, they're like all under major construction. All the restaurants are gone. Some of them, even the restrooms are closed. And I was like, well, goddamn, if you think I'm getting up in the morning and I'm going to have a place to go pee and splash some water on my face and wash my hands, no, that's not happening. So I bypassed them, you know, when I found out that there was no facilities available, just basically a parking area. And I finally found a rest area. Now, by the time I decided to stop, I'd been on the road for 12 plus hours. I was tired. My eyes were tired, especially from, you know, staring at the road. And white line fever is a real thing. You get captivated when you're driving hundreds and hundreds of miles by just looking at those dotted lines in the road and the solid line on the other side, keeping your vehicle between them. And it gets really monotonous. I think maybe not today, because I'm looking to put some miles behind me today again. I'm probably going to get off the highway for a while because it's freaking boring. Just saying. Yeah. So, oh, the other thing was, I said it was raining before. It wasn't really raining. It was more misting, drizzling, which made setup take a little bit longer, trying to make sure that I kept things dry once we got in the roof nest. But this morning, back up, losing my train of thought. I think I need more coffee. I've only had one so far today. What was I saying? Oh, during the night last night, before I fell sound asleep, it started raining in earnest, like really raining. And because of the fiberglass roof on the roof nest, it sounded just like when it rains on a steel roof. It was so soothing and so, like, I loved it. And I'm pretty sure it's what lulled me to sleep. Bella was cuddled up right next to me, and the temperature did get down to 33 degrees last night. So it was cold outside, and I was all nice and warm. I did not need to use the electric blanket at all, so I never plugged that in. The one thing I wish I'd done differently is I have this adorable little knitted cap, and I should have put that on because my head was cold. And you know, you lose like 30% of your body heat out of the top of your head, so that's the only thing that would have made my comfort level like perfect. Bella, on the other hand, for some reason seemed like she was a little cold, because one time I woke up and she was shivering next to me. So I sat up and I, you know, moved the blankets over and pulled her up beside me and then covered her under the blankets. She snuggled right in and fell sound asleep, and that was the last time I was awake at all. The starting and stopping of the truck motors didn't bother me at all. People coming and going didn't bother me at all. I just slept, and I got really good sleep for about 7 hours. But when I woke up this morning, it was cold. It was only 35 degrees when I was trying to pack up and take everything down. And it did take me longer than I would have liked, or longer than I thought it would have, because not only was everything cold, it was wet. It was wet, and like I kept pulling water down on myself, and all of the straps and the hinges and everything that I need to buckle down to be ready to roll again were wet and cold. And by the time I got in the car and ready to roll, I was cold. I was really cold. Drove a little while, got the dogs. We finally found a nice truck stop, and I was able to let the dogs out and let them take a nice long walk and get them their food and water and refill the parrots' food dish and water dish, and then we're on our way again. So I would say the first night was a huge success. I was amazed, absolutely amazed at how comfortable that memory foam mattress is in there. And I gotta tell you, it's so nice when you're ready to pack up in the morning to leave all your blankets, your pillows, things like that in there, and just close it up and go. And funny story, while I was setting things up, I already had released all the latches, and of course, once you do, the roof nest, just the tiniest push with your thumb on either end, front or back, and boom, it just pops up because of those 110-pound pressure gas struts in each corner. I mean, it just goes up like nothing, like a knife through butter, darling. One of the maintenance guys at the rest area walked by, and he stopped and he looked up and he's like, "You gonna sleep up there?" And I was like, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "How the hell do you get all the way up there?" So I, went like this and he walked around, and I said, he saw the ladder, and he was like, "Damn." I was like, "Right?" And he said, and you're safe up there, right? Like, it's not gonna fall off? And I said, "No, it's not going anywhere." He was like, "That is amazing. Well, I hope you have a good night's sleep." And I said, "Thank you very much." And then as I was packing up and getting ready to leave this morning, I went in to use the restroom one more time before we got on the road, and the guy who had worked through the night was there, and this other fella that I'd met the night before looks, he goes, there she is, there's a lady that sleeps in the penthouse." The penthouse. Well, now I feel all kinds of bougie. Anyway, I love the setup. I love the, takedown today, like I said, was longer and more involved than I would have liked or than I had expected because of the rain and the cold. I have rainouts disease, and so, that literally means the surface of my skin is allergic to the cold. And I, you wouldn't be able to wear, at least I wouldn't be able to wear gloves to maneuver the latches and everything. It would be just too difficult. So that was, winter camping definitely would not be for me. And I really had hoped that being, further south from where I live, that the 30-degree nighttime temperatures were kind of behind me, but I was wrong. So surprise there. Other than that, everything is fine. I was pissing and moaning this morning when I was chatting with a friend and said, I'm sick of the clouds and the rain, and I'm hoping to drive out of this weather system. Big truck. I'm hoping to drive out of this weather system, and sure enough, about 40, 50 miles later, I did. And so for the past, I'm going to say, hour and a half, I've been enjoying sunshine and much warmer temperatures. It's 48 degrees right now, but clouds are starting to roll in too. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, I got a surprise last night. I got a pop-up on my phone for the Weather Channel. I have my phone set for notifications for the Weather Channel, and it was informing me of a coast-to-coast storm that's moving in now. And when I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck is a coast-to-coast? Like, I never heard of such a thing in my life. The fuck is a coast-to-coast storm? So I watched the video, and sure enough, there's a storm moving in from the Pacific that they expect to hit the Sierra Nevadas in California, and it's just going to continue right across the entire country. So I was, obviously watching states that I'm going to be traveling through, and I I need to go. I mean, I have other options, but my planned route, you know, I'm in Pennsylvania right now, and then it'll be Ohio, after Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, and then Missouri. And they are expecting that area to be hard hit with severe storms, you know, through the Midwest. So where before I didn't really feel much of a compunction to like really make time and get down into the Southwest, now I'm feeling a little more of an urge to get the hell out of, you know, severe storms way, in the Midwest before they hit. Because this time of year, severe storms in the Midwest usually translates into riotously bad thunderstorms and tornadoes, and I ain't trying to do that. No, I've lived this long in my life without you know, riding out a tornado, and I feel that's one experience I could probably do without. Like I could do quite well if I lived the rest of my life without having a tornado. So yeah, but while I was talking to my friend last night, you know, I realized I don't have to go through the Midwest. I mean, at any point that I decide, and that's the beauty of just being out there on the road, right? At any point I decide, I can just drop down into the lower states and travel along the Gulf Coast to get to New Mexico and Arizona. So we'll see how it unfolds. I'm watching the weather and obviously hoping for the best. So that's the update for today. I don't really need my sunglasses now, but I'm not going to take them off because you don't want to see this, okay? I'm a friggin' hot mess. Looking for a truck stop, a full service truck stop with showers and, you know, the whole 9 yards, and looking for an opportunity to get out of my red flannel shirt and put on a different flannel shirt. So anyway, that's all the news that's news from my journey today. As you can tell by the sounds or the lack thereof in the car, all of the animals are sleeping and content and quiet. So it's really nice. It's really nice. I enjoyed driving through Amish country in Pennsylvania a little while back. It's always so picturesque and just simple, right? Simple. And I love going by the farms and looking at that. Anyway, you all have a great day. I am having a good day. I'm not excited about the clouds that are forming overhead, but it is what it is. I'm hoping to be able to make camp and sleep tonight and pack up tomorrow morning without rain. But unfortunately, I'm not the boss of that. Go figure. You guys have a great day. Thanks for following along, and I will see you soon.